Hello everyone, so today we have a 2003 Mini Cooper S. This is an R53 chassis. This particular job would apply from a 2003 to about 2005, 2006, depending on if you have a convertible and such. What we're doing today is pulling the engine and transmission out of this car. It's got a bad head gasket, and I believe the spark plug threads have been destroyed because the plug got blown out. So I'm not going to waste any more of you guys' time. Let's get this thing ripped apart. Interesting. This car has Godspeed Mono SS coilovers. If anybody knows if these are any good, let me know. They're leaking quite a bit. Alright, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this front end. I actually covered pulling the bumper as well as the core support off in another video. It's like a 4 or 5 minute video. Go watch that if you have any questions. What I normally do is disconnect the AC condenser from the rest of the core and drop it below, and then I'm able to fish this core support with the radiator out above, and I can leave this as well as the AC compressor installed in the car without disconnecting anything so I don't lose any AC. Now before we pull the core support off, I need to take this trim piece off and drain the coolant. So right here is our lower radiator hose. I'm going to take that ring off and drain it into my drain pan right here. So for the next part of this job, we're going to be pulling the CV axle out of the transmission. We have to do this on both sides. This one's going to be a little bit easier. Let me tell you right now, this is my least favorite part of the job. We're going to start with taking the brakes off. These brakes are all trash anyway. I'm going to replace them before I put the car back on the road. So you have to bear with me and see that happen. Then we're going to have to disconnect some of the ball joints, probably this one here, take off the axle nut, and then hopefully we can move this out of the way so we can get to that axle and I can jam it and pull it out. I'm trying not to damage the sensor, so I just went ahead and pulled it off before I began. Now before I take the axle out, I need to drain the fluid out of the transmission. It might be a little hard to see, but the previous owner didn't even put the bolt back in when he replaced the axle. That's a big no-no. Dead center of the screen is the top bolt for the carrier bearing on the passenger side axle. We'll need to get that one loosened up now. Not fun. So this is the bolt that was not in, and then we need to get to this top one here. And now I have to get the axle out of the splines in the transmission. The way I'm going to do this is take a mallet and hit this carrier, try to back it out slowly. Wow, that was incredibly easy. Now we're back to this side. This is the easy part. I'm just going to take my pry bar, pop it against the transmission, and there we go. She's out. If I can clear everything. Looking at the belt drive system here, I need to disconnect the serpentine belt so I can disconnect the AC compressor. We're going to leave the AC compressor with the rest of the car so we don't have to disconnect anything and lose any refrigerant. There we go. I'm finally going to start tackling the engine bay now. We'll take the air box off, disconnect all the hoses and electronics. We'll have to disconnect the shifter and the exhaust, and then we should be able to loosen the motor mounts and bring the cherry picker over and pull this drivetrain right out. This car currently has a ton of underglow on it. I am going to be cutting this out. The reason why I took this fuse box off is that this power cable here goes to the power steering. Now we're also going to have to disconnect this ground that sits back in here. That's just on a 10mm nut. Alright, this next part's a little difficult to see, but down here is the shift cable. This right here is going to pop off the shift linkage, and then these little spring-loaded clips need to push away from the plastic like that, both sides, and then this will pop forward or out of there. Ow! What I'll end up doing is popping it off when I go to pull the engine out. We're also going to have to disconnect the oxygen sensor. They normally sit right about here, but the tap is broken. And then the last thing that we have to do is get these cooling hoses disconnected to the heater core. So looking underneath the car, you can see the electric power steering pump. We've already disconnected the fan connector, but there's also a connector up here, which is melted, and then a larger connector. These wires ended up getting scorched, so I might not be able to get these off this motor here. Yeah, in this situation, I'm just gonna cut these torched wires. They are completely melted. You need to take this bolt out first so you can get this bracket out. Otherwise, getting this off is going to be a really pain in the butt. Oh, here we go. There we go. There's two things I forgot to cover in the video. One was to take this hose here off of the coolant reservoir, and the second is the brake booster vacuum line. I ended up breaking that when it came off. That's going to be this guy right here, and it has a quick disconnect right there. And those melted wires that we saw before are right here. I think this thing ended up having a bad power steering pump overheat, and therefore cause a melting wire. I do have a new pump on my donor car, so I'll throw that in there real quick. Alright, the job is done. We got the powertrain out. Engine and transmission are out of the vehicle now. You can do as you please in the engine bay or work on the powertrain itself. I hope this video is helpful for some of you. It's not too bad of a job, just a lot of little small components and tight cramped spaces. Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.